Now, I'm coming to you kind of late in the day. We've been traveling still. We were in St. Robert today. But we're back, and I thought, well, I better get this program in since I didn't get it this morning because I'll be too tired to do it if I wait any longer. Getting on towards supper time now. Gosh, it's nearly 6 o'clock. I don't know how it got to be 6 o'clock, but there you go. I mean, I know how it got to be 6 o'clock, but I'm amazed that it's already 6 o'clock. We're still in the second message, the second sermon that Jeremiah preached to the court, to the higher ups, to the priests, to the prophets, to the princes, to the king's court, to the rulers, the ruling class, the rich people, the merchants, the big landowners, the big houses of Judah. Been preaching to them under good King Josiah. And the people are refusing to hear what he's saying, and God is pronouncing judgment upon them because they have refused to return to God. And over he has begged them to return to him, and over they refuse. So now he's sending judgment in the form of invading armies. And Jeremiah is predicting this. Rather, God is predicting and prophesying this through Jeremiah. He's telling them what's going to happen. God speaking through Jeremiah. We'll back up just a little bit and bring us right up to where we are. A little recap, beginning verse 28 of chapter 5, back up to there. They are waxing fat, they shine. Yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. And the right of the needy do they not judge. Shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. And my people love to have it so. And what will you do in the end thereof? The prophets are preaching lies. The priests are doing whatever they want to do. And the people love it. Incredible, just incredible. That's the way it is now. That's the way it is now. We live in a society totally committed to debauchery. We are watching the disintegration of a society before our eyes. All empires fall, and we're here to see the last of the American empire. But if you ask God to save you, he will. And if you come to him, he will take care of you. Individual salvation is right there all the time. But it's too late for the country. That ship has sailed. Chapter 6. God speaking through Jeremiah to Judah. O ye children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem, and blow a trumpet in Tekoa, and set up a sign of fire in Beth Haccherem, for the evil appeareth out of the north, and great destruction. Send a warning, blow a trumpet, blow a warning. Light the torches. You would have all these outposts. You could see out across the plain there. One would have a torch and they'd wave, it's okay. And then this guy would wave a torch to the people behind him, and that's how they signal back and forth in the night. A sign of fire, because the evil is coming out of the north, great destruction. The armies of the Babylonians are coming. The Chaldeans are coming. Right now, Nebuchadnezzar's daddy is leading a great and mighty army with his son Nebuchadnezzar at his side. In another 15 years, it'll be Nebuchadnezzar taking the final surrender of Jerusalem. Except they don't surrender. He just conquers them. He just destroys them. When the king and his court try to flee, they're caught. And we'll get to that later on. The fire is coming. The evil is approaching out of the north, and there's going to be great destruction. It's as if God were telling us now, China is coming, Russia is coming, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars, it's going to be bad, and you're going to lose. But blow the trumpet, signal each other, fight, prepare, because the evil is appearing out of the north. It's on the horizon. And great destruction. Verse 2, God says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Oh yeah, we're pretty. We're prosperous. We're sharp. We shine. We shine. Like they said the other day, we're waxing fat, and so we shine. The shepherds with their flocks shall come unto her. They shall pitch their tents against her round about. They shall feed every one in his place. The only reason you bring the flocks and the herds in close is because the danger is approaching. The danger is coming. You're gathering the herds in, the flocks of the sheep, all the cattle, all the sheep, so that the livestock is there, so that it can feed the city when it comes under siege. Verse 4, prepare ye war against her. He's talking to the enemies of Jerusalem, the enemies of Judah. The Babylonians are coming. Prepare ye war against her. Let us go up at noon. That's what the enemy says. And then Judah will say, woe unto us, for the day goeth away, for the shadows of the evening are stretched out. Saying we couldn't whoop them in the daytime. We're retreating. We're hiding. It's getting dark. It doesn't matter how many torches we light. It doesn't matter how many bells we ring. It doesn't matter how many trumpets we sound. The enemy is coming. Destruction is coming. The evil is appearing. And then the enemy says in verse 5, arise, let us go by night, and let us destroy her palaces. The fall actually will come at night. You'll forget I said this by the time we get there, but that's when Jerusalem falls and they breach the wall, and the king and his court escapes out the back way, and they're going out through the plain. It's at nighttime. They're trying to escape in the dark. Arise, let us go up by night, let us destroy her palaces. And that destruction is still like 20 years off. Arise, let us go by night, and let us destroy her palaces. For thus hath the Lord of hosts said, hoe ye down trees and cast them out against Jerusalem. After the battle of Jerusalem and the siege of Jerusalem, there weren't any trees left. I told you the story about the date palm tree the other day. They were all destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar's army. Some seeds were found in an urn under the old city in an excavation, an archaeological dig. And they worked on them, and they cloned them, and they planted them, and now date palms grow in Jerusalem again and in all of Israel. The date palm that they thought had been extinct, because Nebuchadnezzar cut it all down to build his works against the city of Jerusalem. They built towers. They built these balustrades, catapults, these deals that they would, what's the name of that? Can't remember the name of it. They built a tower that's got wheels on it, and then they push it. They keep getting closer and closer, and it's all shielded. And then they got archers up in this tower, trying to shoot over the wall. For thus hath the Lord of hosts said, hoe ye down trees and cast them out against Jerusalem. And they did that. Now it's about 13 to 14 years before they do that, because the siege of Jerusalem lasts for a long time. The final siege lasts for 3 years. And he's predicting it, prophesying it all this time ahead. Amos has a thing that I love. He said that surely the Lord will do nothing except he tell his servants, the prophets. God always tells the prophets what's going to happen. He's told us what's going to happen. All we got to do is listen. For thus hath the Lord of hosts said, hew you down trees and cast them out against Jerusalem. This is the city to be visited. And this visit isn't like when your kinfolk come and eat some fried chicken. No, this visitation is a judgment, a visitation of judgment. And God is using the army of Babylon to judge Judah and Jerusalem. This is the city to be visited. She is holy oppression in the midst of her. The implication of this is Judah is so deep in its own sin and is so into oppressing the poor people, the fatherless, the widows. You remember back in last chapter it said that these people are waxed fat. They're waxed so fat that they shine. They overlook all the deeds of the wicked. There's nobody that can judge. They don't judge justly. They don't judge the cause. It says they don't judge the cause of the fatherless, the orphans, which means they're not judging. Guess I'm sweaty. My glasses are sliding around. They don't judge the cause of the widows. They're being terrible, but yet they prosper. They think they're doing just fine because they're rich. Most rich people think that they're doing everything right because they're rich. You know, the devil can make you prosper. He sure can. He got a lot of tricks and he knows a lot. The right of the needy they do not judge. See, they're totally without judgment. And they're being visited. And the key verse that explains that is here in verse 6 of chapter 6, where it says, she, Jerusalem, is holy oppression in the midst of her. They're not only being oppressed by foreign armies and rumors of war, wars and rumors of war. And the birth pangs are just starting to be felt there. The agonies, the travails. She's not only being oppressed by foreign lands and empires, she is being oppressed in the midst of her. She is oppression. She is holy oppression in the midst of her. Her greatest oppression right now is the oppression that she's putting on herself, Jerusalem, by wicked, evil people oppressing the poor. And Isaiah, God phrases it like this: how dare you beat my people to pieces? How dare you grind their faces? You're going to pay for this. Isaiah warned them over 100 years before that they would pay for these deeds. And they've just gotten worse and worse and worse over all these years. Micah at the same time warned that they were going to pay for all this, that God was going to judge them and destroy them if they did not repent. And he is giving them a final chance to repent, but the nation can't repent. It's too late for them. He's already going to judge the nation. He's already going to destroy Judah, destroy the temple, destroy Jerusalem. But he says, if you'll return to me, Joe, Mary, Harry, Susie, whoever's out there, you return to me and I will take care of you. I will give you your life. You can stay here and grow food. You won't have to go into captivity. You won't have to be killed in the war. I'll make sure of it, God says. You just return to me. They wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. If you haven't turned to the Lord, you need to. If you haven't returned to the Lord, you need to do that too. But the oppression is in the midst of her. She's oppressing herself worse than the foreign armies are, because she will not judge righteously. And the rich are oppressing the poor. The strong are oppressing the weak. It's just terrible. Looks like our country right now. Then it says in verse 7, as a fountain casteth out her waters, so Jerusalem casteth out her wickedness. There's so much wickedness in Jerusalem, God says through Jeremiah, that it's just boiling and flowing out like a spring. A fountain just shooting out water. Jerusalem is shooting out her wickedness and her evil. Violence and spoil is hurting her. All we hear is killing, people screaming, people fighting, people crying, people begging for justice, begging for their lives. Murderers running around, people being dispossessed, their goods being stolen, children being stolen and killed, wives being taken by richer men and put in the harem, raping them, not ever letting them go, making sex slaves out of them. This is the United States, man. All you got to do is just turn on the TV and look at what's going on. All this stuff is going on now here. The violence, the crime, the wickedness, it's heard everywhere. You don't have to watch your TV. You can walk down the street of any city and hear the violence, hear the gunshots, hear the screams, hear the cries of the children, hear the sirens, hear the speeding cars and the gunfire and the feet running, the feet of mobs running, the crashing of glass, burglar alarms and security alarms going off everywhere. Violence and spoil is hurting her. God says, before me continually is grief and wounds. That's all I see. That's all I see is your grief. That's all I see is your wounds, because wickedness flows out of you. It's just flowing out like a fountain. That is us, beloved. Hello, Jack. God bless you. God love you. I finally got home and got on the program here. You'll have to listen to the rest later, I guess. But I'll have it up in a minute and I'll get it on YouTube too. As a fountain casteth out her waters, so she casteth out her wickedness. Violence and spoil is heard in her. Before me continually is grief and wounds. I'm looking at the apple of my eye. I'm looking at my city where my name is, where my glory dwells, between the cherubim above the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. And all I see is grief and wounds. We'll continue with this tomorrow.